Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. I am pleased to report I finished the Timothy Morton book. Oh man, I just got back from a walk. It is so warm outside. But I finished Timothy Morton yesterday. I am so pleased about this because I was like dreading being behind on a theoretical text. If I'm behind on poetry, it's not that big of a deal because I can read through poetry. Again, not like speed read, but I can read through it faster than theoretical texts. So I'm very pleased that I finished Timothy Morton yesterday. They are a wild ride. I'm really glad that I read that book. There's a lot that I can pull from. And the remainder of the book was very much about God, I'm trying to think if I can even summarize this. I mean, it was very much in tune with Rachel Carson's cycles, but Timothy Morton phrased it as looping and basically discussed how everything loops back into itself, you know? One of his major metaphors was I think it's Norse. It's a Norse mythology of a snake eating its own tail, and then as soon as the snake decides that it's going to let go of its tail, then that's when something changes. I don't remember what it is exactly. So I haven't done my notes for this. I am so behind on notes. And, it's okay. It'll be fine. All that to be said, I've gotten ready, but not ready, really, which is fine. I'm considering today to be in my feral state of affairs, which means this is how I look like on a daily basis whenever I don't get ready, so whatever. But today I am going to finish reading this craft text. I did not finish this craft text last week, and so I want to knock this out this morning and just get through it. And then I get to start my new text, which I'm excited about. We get to start Cognitive Ecopoetics by Sharon Lattig, a new theory of lyric. I am excited to get into this. I think this will be really interesting. And we're still in the Ecopoetics because all of this is eco-criticism. But I'm hoping that this is also starting to dip its toes into the affect theory, because affect theory is going to come up soon. And following Lattig, I'm reading Madness, Rack, and Honey by Mary Ruefle this week. So this is a collection of lectures by Ruefle, who is a poet, obviously. This is the craft text for this week. So I know who Mary Ruefle is, but I haven't read her work, and I've never read one of her craft texts. So I'm excited to get into that. I did some changing. I had other poets I was going to read this week, but I started to think, so one of the stipulations of this exam that I have to do is read the entire, I want to say oeuvre. I guess you could categorize it as an oeuvre of one author, and then I have to compile a presentation on that author. And so I had some other poets I was going to read, but I changed to Brenda Hillman because she is one who I think I want to do the presentation on, but I'm not sure yet. So I have 2 collections by Brenda Hillman this week. And then I also threw in Dorianne Lowe. I'm actually not sure if you pronounce her last name Lowe or Locks. I will look it up. But Dorianne Lowe, I'll just say Lowe for now, is another huge eco-poet. At least she's quoted a lot in the eco-criticism that I'm reading, so I'm assuming that she very much dives into eco-poetry. So I figured I should read her to kind of get, glean what type of poet she is, and maybe she's a potential option for this. And then I have Prodigal by Linda Gregerson. So, I also think that she's a pretty big name eco-poet. But again, I'm not totally positive. Then I have Seeing the Body by Rachel Eliza Griffiths. I'm almost positive I've already read this, but I don't remember, so we're going to read it again. Then I have Goldenrod by Maggie Smith. I initially was super excited to read this, and she is one of the blurbs on the back of that poetry collection that I was not a fan of last week, and so now I'm a little nervous to read this, so we'll see. And then I have Jory Graham, and Jory Graham is another eco-poet who I love. I read her work, Sea Change, last year for my literature exam, and I just love how she navigates the page and poetry, and she's just phenomenal, a phenomenal poet. But she was another one who I was considering doing for the presentation. So all that to say, we have some big name eco-poets this week for the creative writing. We are in the same vein, I just stepped on Hobbes's tail, poor cat. We're in the same vein for the theoretical realm, but maybe changing a little bit. So I'm excited about that, excited to like switch it up a bit. And then, yeah, excited for the Rueful lectures. And I am also probably not going to time-lapse me reading again today. I have been going upstairs and laying on my couch and reading. So I might do that. The knuckle crack was like, you know, the final nail on the coffin there. That was the aesthetic effect of that statement. Anyway, yeah. So I'll check in later. Okay, I have to check in really fast. So it is kind of late. It's 5. I had a bit of a crazy day that didn't really have to do with my work, but I still worked. So I ended up finishing the structures in surprise, which was fine. I found like substructures was a really interesting topic that Theune and another author, I don't remember their name, discussed. And so I thought that was really interesting because it talked about how the structure, like the substructure of a poem is something to like delve farther into. So if a poem doesn't make sense, then there's other components that are happening that is considered the substructure. But I want to move on to this. This book, I am so excited. So Cognitive Ecopoetics by Sharon Lattig. She is going over exactly what I want to be an expert in. I guess not exactly, but she's pulling a lot of interdisciplinary studies between neuroscience, between biology, between like the hard science fields and poetry, and talking about how lyric poetry specifically, which is exciting because I am a lyric poet, that is primarily what I write. I very rarely write narrative poetry. How lyric poetry is actually a connection between like the brain, the body, and the environment. And I've just read the introduction because there's the introduction and then there's 4 chapters, so I was going to read a chapter a day. But she talks about how the lyric is making these moves and has been making these moves since the inception of the lyric, since really humans began writing poetry, and how it establishes this connection between like the neurons that are firing off in your brain as you read lyrics, like musical lyrics, lyric poetry. Like that's what the lyricism does, is it like creates a pattern in your brain to affect you ontologically, which means bodily. And therefore the impact, especially when it comes to ecopoetics, is that we're thinking more about the environment, right? And that how there's we're back to cycles, right? So there's the impact of the written word and the impact of the environment, but the environment is impacting the one writing the word. And so it's like a cycle, and she's going into that I just read the introduction, so it's like an introduction to what she's going to be talking about throughout the entire book. But I am super excited because a lot of what she's talking about also ties into what I proposed for my AWP panel. So I just had to come in and kind of like talk about this for a minute because I'm really excited about this. I would love to attend a talk by this woman. But yeah, so I have finished my reading this. I didn't get to Rueful, which is okay because I finished that other craft text, and I will just be reading Rueful probably tomorrow through Saturday instead of doing like just focusing. I really like to get theory and craft done on the weekdays, but if you're behind, you got to work on the weekends too. And then I didn't get to a creative text today, but I might do that later. We'll see. I will update you guys tomorrow on that front because I do want to get to the Jory Graham piece. I was going to read to 2040 today. And, well, that being said, it is, I think I mentioned, it's 5. And I'm gonna eat something, and I have changed my workout days. So my workout days are now gonna be Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And on Mondays, I am going to go play Magic at the local game shop because I am invested in this. I posted on my Instagram yesterday that Magic was my new midlife crisis, which if you know about Magic and you are aware about the craze that's going on about Magic right now, that makes a lot of sense. But I have all these fun new decks, or I've got I've got 2 decks. I've got one deck, which is the Final Fantasy deck, and then I built 2 decks. And so, which I'm like really excited about. Like figuring out the components of Magic is very, like, it's a lot of mental gymnastics that is not related to highbrow jargon in literature and poetry. So it's very much a great brain break for me. And the game shop in town has Magic nights every Monday and Tuesday. So I am going to go tonight to kind of like suss it out a little. See, I might just observe. I'll see if I play a game. I know if I play, I'll get my butt whooped, but that's okay because that's how we learn. And other than that, I'm gonna eat. I made some delicious steaks with mashed potatoes and asparagus last night, so I'm gonna be eating that tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Gotta get that protein in, and yeah, that's about it. That's my update. I hope everyone had a good Monday. See you guys tomorrow. Oh, I guess this concludes Practical Poetics series, part 10.